Hey, Shalom Watkins, Rakam Akapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chachadash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back in with another video, and just to, continue on, this madness that is, Genesis, right? We know in these last days, right, you're going to have groups like this that are trying to lead, the flock astray. All right. So it's no amazement to us, right? This is how it is exactly how it's supposed to be. With people coming out with bugged out, whacked out doctrines, right? But they're all here to create confusion, right? To create confusion among those that are not of the elect ultimately. They are, demons, right? They're agents of Satan, right? To bring confusion amongst the brotherhood, amongst the Israelites, right? To keep them from the path of truth, right? Because the truth is a narrow way, right? It has to be very strictly adhered to, man, to be able to receive salvation. These guys, they've supposedly come into this truth, right? They've learned a few scriptures, and now they're just, tearing shit up, right? Starting from, almost basically starting from scratch, all right? And getting you to believe in these new bug outs, these new bug out doctrines that no one ever taught before. It's almost like that scripture about, worshiping these newly come gods that your fathers never believed in. It's like the same with these doctrines. These doctrines are never taught before, never, and they're newly come up with, this new shit, and people are eating it. Well, guess what? The only people that are eating it are those that are not of the elect, man. And don't get it twisted. You man are going to be destroyed, man, because you think you're slick. You think you're slick, with your PowerPoint presentation. You're setting up the premise before you start talking about your bugged out doctrine. Talking about, oh, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, you ever watched the Dr. Pepper adverts? What's the worst that can happen? You're about to find out, man. All right, and we're going to go through this in the scriptures, right? So, let me start here in 2 Timothy chapter 4, all right, verse, let's start from 2, right? It says, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine, right? And that's simply what we're doing. It's our job to do this, right? We hear some bullshit, man. We have to set the record straight. We have to put it out there, right? That these men are not men of the Lord. They're not in the truth, right? They're here to try and take you out of the truth, to keep you away from the truth, to cause and bring confusion. Because that's what Satan loves doing. The devil loves confusion. All right? For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. These cats ain't enduring sound doctrine, man. And it's, it's not necessarily all their fault, because they had a leader that didn't endure, didn't endure unto sound doctrine in Al-Azhar, right? He's just a product of them. He's part of their, they're part of his fruit, right? And he was off. He was rotten, right? So, it is what it is at the end of the day. These characters need to exist, right, to fulfill prophecy. But that's what it is, right? For the time will come where they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves itching ears. Have heaped to themselves teachers having itching ears, right? Because these men are only really about fulfilling the lust of the flesh ultimately, man. They got their own agendas while they're pushing this truth, all right? Everything's about, merchandise and selling shit, right? Sounding, controversial so they can get attention and likes and whatever to grow their to grow their following, right? But we're not here for clout, okay? We're not here to make money, okay? We're not here for none of that, okay? We're here simply to do the work and the will of the Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, so we can get the hell up out of this place, man, in safety, to receive salvation, which is only for the Israelites, by the way, right? And they shall turn away their ears from the truth. You're not hearing it. You ain't trying to hear it, man. You think you know better. You think you're laying foundations, bro. The foundation already been laid. But you want to rip out everything, man, and you start over. You guys are crazy. All right, so they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. Okay, that's what I want from that. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3. Chapter 2. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13, right? But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And that's just chaos. That's just confusion. These men out there claiming to be teachers, claiming to be, well, you have to put it like this. The way they're speaking is like they are the top dudes in Israel. That they have the truth and nobody else has it. Right? These young men, these new upstarts, right, are claiming that they have the ultimate doctrine, the ultimate truth. Right? But like I said, they're changing everything. They're changing the foundations of everything, man. Everything that they were taught, they're kind of ripping up and doing it over. Right? But they have been deceived, right? And they're deceivers and being deceived. Like I said, Satan is all up in there, man. Right? And anywhere where Satan is, man, if you believe in the doctrine, these things that Satan has given you, then you're gonna fail. You're gonna fall. And it ain't gonna be pretty. All this talk about, what's the worst that could happen? Right? We're gonna find out. Right? But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned. Continue, man. And that's the problem with these upstarts, man. They don't want to continue, man. They want to do their own thing. They want to change everything. They're not happy with what they've learned. They want to change everything. They don't believe in what they've been taught. Right? But then how did you get here in this truth in the first place, man? Because it's like you picking and choosing. Like these Christians, they want to pick and choose scriptures. You want to pick and choose breakdowns or doctrines that you feel like, man. Eat the whole roll. Continue in the things that thou hast learned. We're not here to change it. We're here to build upon what we've learned. You out here changing everything. I'm trying to. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. Okay, we got elders and apostles, man. Right? And they've got elders. Or had elders, This is where the truth only come from, man. And we have to stick true to the foundation of what we've been taught. And yeah, knowledge has been increased, right? Scriptures and understanding have been expounded since back then. Right? But it's always been built upon that which came before. We didn't just sit there, they didn't just sit there and change everything up. Things came out in the spirit, right? But you, man, like I said, you Johnny come latelys, man. You think you're the foundation. None of us would ever know that we're Israelites if it weren't for the apostles, man. The Lord putting the spirit on the apostles and their elders to bring out, the 12 tribes and all these different things. We wouldn't have a clue. And now you want to take over and run the show and you say what you were taught was wrong. And actually, everybody can be saved. Or anybody from anywhere can be saved if they believe. Bro, that just sounds like Christianity to me, bro. That sounds like you hopped on that train. It says, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through the faith which is in Yahushua Mashiach. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof. And like I said, these men, they disregard certain books, because Elazar, he didn't believe in Paul's writings because, Paul was cursing them out. Paul was cursing Elazar out, for his long hair and fitted caps and shit. All right? Same with these niggas, man. They were all like wearing a fitted. Right? So they will disregard certain books when they feel like it, because it doesn't fit their image or whatever, doesn't fit what they want to teach. Right? But all scriptures, as it says here, is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine. So what Paul's writings were inspired by the Most High. Talking about, well, it doesn't say thus save the Lord. Whatever, dude, man. Believe what you want to believe, man. You ain't right in the fucking head. Right? And it's profitable for doctrine and for reproof, for correction. So we're using the scriptures to correct you. You don't want to be corrected. It's fucking insane. For instruction in righteousness. They don't want to hear all that, right? That the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. All right. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 3. It says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lusts, right? So like I said, we know the situation, how it's supposed to be, right? And so this is it's not unexpected, right? It's been going on for a long time. The longer you've been in this, the more you've seen, these wacky dudes and their wacky doctrines. right? Like I said, the elders have seen it all, right? Pretty much, right? So it's no surprise to us, right? But just know there's a lot of these dudes out there. A lot of them, the majority of these so quote unquote prophets, which are nothing but false prophets, right? There are plenty of them, right? The way of truth is a narrow way, okay? It is a narrow gate. Wide is the gate that leads to destruction, man. So the truth is only in a small, in a small sanctuary, in a small spot, man. Right? So again, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lusts. Okay? So that's these dudes, man. It's Acts chapter 20, verse 29 says, "For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock." Right? So like I said, these are these characters, man. Paul is warning you, right, about these wolves that will enter into the flock. Oh yeah, I'm an Israelite. Yeah, call me Yasharallah. Yeah, yeah, or whatever, man. Like, and these dudes, after a while, like I said, they start trying to change everything up. They depart from the way they were taught, the foundation that they were given, right? And now they're on a new fucking journey, a new world of discovery, new revelations, because they want to be the guys. Who the fuck made you the guy? What understanding did you receive, man? And everything you man talk about is not scriptural. This Gentile salvation thing is not scriptural, man. It doesn't even fit. It doesn't even fit within the context of the story. That's what we curse those Christians out for the same shit. And now you man on it. There's got to be, money being handed out of some shit for you to be teaching that stupidness and trying to convince people, like a slick snake, right? That you're trying to convince people that, even if basically, even if it's not true, right? What's the worst that could happen? But if you are wrong and it's not only for the Israelites, then you might be destroyed. Boy, that's scaremongering to the fullest, man. But you want them to believe in your doctrine, and like nothing go back and happen. If you believed it and teached it, whatever, man, you're a slick devil, man. You're a slick devil. That was slick, right? So again, verse 29, "For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them." Is that not what's happening? Is that not what they're trying to do? At the same time, them man are trying to slander GMS, right? With all their fucking accusations and shit, to try and keep people away from us or hearing us, just off back of what you say, not based on the scriptures. You start calling us rapists and pedophiles and bombs and all these different types of things, right? Just so people are deterred from us just from that alone, even though none of that shit's true. Right? So they don't even listen. They don't even want to hear what we got to say, right? Because they are detested. They're ashamed of us, right? They don't want to hear what we got to say because you've convinced them that we're fucking the scum of the earth, basically. All right? But that's how things are supposed to be. We ain't mad. It is how it is what it is. At the end of the day, right? It is just what it is, man. That's how things are supposed to be. We're meant to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, right? And you're gonna have people out here slandering us, right? But that's your role. We're not here to slander you. We're just gonna point out the facts and the booky scriptures that you break down wrong. That's what we're here for. We're not here to accuse you and make lying accusations against you. Right, we're just here to curse you out if you get the scriptures wrong, right? So you can repent. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But you guys, you take it to another level, man. You're trying to make it personal, right? But it's all right. We're not mad. We're not mad, man, because the Most High gonna get you dudes in the end anyway, right? We're gonna be fully justified at the end, whereas you man are gonna be crying. All right. So you man are heaping disciples away, and that's what Satan is constantly doing that, trying to draw disciples away from the truth, from the foundations. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, right? Right on time, right on cue, right? It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour." And this is why you gotta be so careful. You gotta be so your head's got to be so on swivel, man, right? So that you can identify, bogus breakdowns. Because Satan is out here, doing everything he can to try and drag you out, to try and deceive you, to lead you astray. And he's going to use these other Israelite camps, so-called Israelite camps, to do that. It ain't just going to be the Christians or the Muslims or everybody's trying to drag you away, because the world is that wide gate which leads to destruction. We know this, right? So Satan's always working on trying to do this. So when someone comes out with some weird ass breakdown, it's like, well, where the fuck did that come from? You should be heavily scrutinized like you know what I mean? But because you man just, you take the simple believe every word, basically, right? You're not prudent like the men in the Church of Berea. Like, you just want to hear what your favorite guys say, your favorite dudes, right? Because you admire them so much. This isn't about admiring men, right? This is about getting the scriptures correct, right? Like I said, there's a foundation that's been set, and that's supposed to be built on. You're meant to be sticking to what you've learned, continuing the things that thou hast learned, not just, like I said, digging the foundation up. I'm gonna lay a new one down. Don't work like that. All right. It says, whom resisteth steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Everyone's suffering. Everyone's going through, the temptations. So every time these doctrines come out, it's like, it's a demon to fight. Right? Because I say, on one hand, that these demons will make the doctrine sound somewhat reasonable. And that's why they're slick. Because the devil is not going to tell you just some crazy, outrageous lie that doesn't sound like it could never possibly be true. No, it's going to sound that it could be true. But if you're not prudent in the scriptures, of course you're going to be taken away. And that's why you have to know these scriptures, man. And have faith in them, faith in the things that you have learned already. So every wind of doctrine don't throw you over. As the scripture goes, roughly paraphrasing, So, but the grace, verse 10, but the God of all grace, who have called us unto his eternal glory by Yahweh Shai Mahashiach, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. We're meant to be settled, man. You man are trying to go off, going after all these new doctrines. You're not settled. You ain't settled at all. This is Genesis chapter 3, verse 4, right? Let me start from the top. All right, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God hath made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Right? Verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. Right? And this is why you're slick like this devil here. Right? That's why we know this is the devil's work, man. Because before you even said a word about your wacky breakdowns, right? You gave a whole PowerPoint presentation about what you're saying, what you're not saying, And one of the ones, like I mentioned earlier, is like, what's the worst that could happen? If you believe this doctrine, like, what could happen? Right? If you believe in this, then what could happen? And basically, you said, nothing. You shan't die, basically. Nothing's going to happen to you. Forget about, teaching the scriptures correctly and telling lies. Yeah, okay, nothing's going to happen to you. And then you need the whole thing about, well, if you get it wrong now and you teach that only Israelites can be saved, guess what? And you was wrong, you might die. Now you're trying to scare, man. Like there's no, you're slick, right? Because, there's no downsides to believing in the Gentiles and Israelites can be saved, but there's a downside if you believe only the Israelites can be saved. And so you kind of you're making normal guys thinking, shit, you know what? If there's no downside to this, I might as well just teach this. Because at least I'm covering both bases this way. You're slick. You're a damn fucking devil, man. You guys are devils. Right? You're coming up as a fucking serpent. Right? Trying to draw away men into your fucking madness, man. That's exactly how this is. Exactly how it sounds. Exactly what you're doing. This is 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 3. If any man teach otherwise and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he is proud, knowing nothing. You men don't know nothing. You're just a bunch of wannabes. You want to be the top guys in Israel, and just because you like the fame, you like the attention. Like I said, we're not here for all of that. See, he's proud knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words. Man, you're just raising up questions, man. You're creating confusion. And strifes of words, wherefore cometh envy, strife, railings, and evil surmisings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth. Right? Supposing that gain is godliness, from such withdraw thyself. Because you're all about making the money, man. Getting that bag. Right? Because that's, like I said, because what's the need to be, making t-shirts and hats and all this, and what's all that for? If you're not for your own pocket. This is Galatians chapter 1 verse 8. Let me read up a little bit. Verse 6 says, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Yahweh Shai unto another gospel. These man teaching a whole other gospel now, pretty much. Now everybody can be saved. It's not just the Israelites. Everybody can be saved now. That's never been, as Elder Apostle Gabal put, a pillar of the Israelite faith. Ever. That's been a Christian faith. But, because you're an Israelite, Israelites can be saved too. Because you got to, keep that angle. You're an Israelite, right? But now you're really pushing the Christianity doctrine. This is verse 7, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you, these cats, right, which would pervert the gospel of Yahweh Shai. You're perverting the gospel. And if you don't think there's no punishment for that, okay, you're sorely mistaken. So, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which ye have preached, then we have preached unto you, i.e. the foundations, the things we set up for you, even if an angel come around and turn around and tell you, oh, that's not correct, bro, that angel needs to disappear. You need to rebuke that angel, right? Because you have to trust and believe in the breakdowns, the doctrine that you were given. You man don't have no faith. You don't believe in the doctrine that you've been given. That's why you want to keep changing it. Oh, we found something new. Oh, the lake of fire. That's over there, and it's a river. You know what I mean? It's just like, what's the obsession of wanting to keep changing it? You know what I mean? Because you want to stand out. That's all it really is. Oh, we found something, and you're just trying to sound deep. Actually, it's this. But that wasn't based on the foundation we were taught. So where did that come from? Vanity. Your own vain thoughts and opinions, man. Or the money, It says, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, say now I now again. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have received, let him be accursed. Right? It don't mean there's no downside. No, there is a downside for lies. For teaching things contrary to the gospel. Right? To be accursed. Alright, so do I now persuade men or God? We don't care who's upset about this doctrine. We're not trying to appease people. We're just trying to teach the truth. But now you're now like a more softer version of an Israelite crew now, because anybody can come in to you now, ultimately, if they believe. And that's what most people want. They want to be accepted. They want to know that they could possibly make it. So people soften up to you a bit. People still hate us because we're not leaving no room for them. Because it's not for them. For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Yahweh Shai. That's it, man. We're here to serve Yahweh Shai and do his will, do the will of his Father. Not our own will, to make ourselves great or to be, to be liked and all this. So, but I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Yahweh Shai. Right, that's Paul, because he had that experience, right, with Yahweh Shai. All right. This is John chapter 4, verse 23. It says, but the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit, in truth. The Lord's looking for the true believers. Those that worship him in spirit and in truth. If you ain't got 100% truth, man, and you talk about, there's no downside to, believing in this doctrine over that doctrine, then you're full of shit, you're lying. And you're pushing lies. Right? So again, but the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Okay, the truth is important, right? And this is what I mean. We're not playing the fence Israelites. Or we got to sit on the fence, just in case we get something wrong. No, you have to be sure. Everything we do with surety, man, in faith and belief. If you want to sit on the fence, man, you're lukewarm, man, and the Lord don't want you. It's as simple as that. We're not halfway Israelites. The men of the Lord are sure. There is no doubt in them. And that's why when the mark of the beast comes, man, a lot of you are going to be fucking running around like headless chickens, man, not knowing what the fuck to do. A lot of you are going to make a bad decision, man, a wrong decision. Because you're going to be under that pressure. Not the men of the Lord, man, not the elect. They're not going to be under pressure like that. Whether or not they're going to, what decision should they make. This is Titus chapter 1, verse 15. Let me jump up a little bit. It says verse 13, it says, this witness is true. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. And that's what this video is, and the multitude of videos brothers have been doing. It's a rebuke. To anyone that's thinking along these lines, man, it's folly. Right? It's not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. These men have turned from the truth. So we're not to listen to them. Unto the pure, all things are pure. Right? But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving, nothing is pure. Right? So it's no wonder, man. These men never respected the scriptures in the first place. That's why they always want to keep changing it. Because it's not pure to them. What they've learned, the foundations that were given, is not pure to them. So nothing's pure. Everything can go. Everything can be changed up. If they think they discovered something, they'll change it. They'll change all the understandings. Because that's how they feel. But these are not men of faith then. So unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. All right. Just a couple more left. We'll end this lesson. This one's from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20, right? Oh, let me read up a little bit. Let me get from 19, right? It says, Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints, and of the household of God, right? It's talking about the Israelite foreigners, right? We're all one. Because we are, at the end of the day. We're all part of the same nation, regardless of our backgrounds. Because this is what the point is. Israelite Gentiles are Israelites, living in different lands, believing themselves to be something that they weren't. Right, but they were being brought back in. But we're all one people, even though, we didn't all act the same and talk the same, and whatever, man. Right? It says, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles, right? The foundation of the apostles is the foundation of Yahushua. Yahushua is their cornerstone. And they have built upon that cornerstone. Right? Everything is based off the doctrine that the apostles are now giving to the disciples and so on and so on, right? There's an origin point for this. And you ain't it. Right? We are to build and continue building in the same fashion as we were given. I said, but you want to change everything up. Well, I ain't happy with this, so I'm going to change this part. I'm going to change this part. Now the building's all wonky because you made all these changes. It's not solid no more. Right? So, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahushua himself being the chief cornerstone, right? In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto a holy temple in the Lord, in whom ye also are builded together for a habitation of God through the Spirit. All right? And so we're going to close out with this. Right? It's 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9, right? It says, for we are laborers together with the Most High. Ye are God's husbandry, ye are God's building. According to the grace of God which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. Right? So the men that came before us have laid the foundation that we now build upon. But we still go and build in the same way. We don't go and change the design. Otherwise, how would the building never get finished if we keep changing the design? How is it going to be uniform? How is it going to stand? It says, for but it says, I have laid the foundation and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed, right, how he buildeth up thereupon. Take caution, right, how he builds upon, the foundations, right? For other foundations can no man lay that is laid. You can't change the foundation. You man are trying to change all these foundational things that we believe. You can't do that. You can't do that, man. It's been laid. So for other foundations can no man lay, then that is laid, which is Yahweh Shai Mahashiach. Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest. For the day shall declare it, the day of the Lord, the day of judgment, shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, by the judgment. Right. So if you think there's no ramifications for getting these breakdowns wrong and teaching, men to, follow after false doctrines, I say you're seriously mistaken. There is a punishment. There will be a punishment for those that get the doctrine wrong. You have to know. Be certain and be sure. Don't be a snake and say, or even if it wasn't right, believing in this version of the breakdown, nothing bad could happen. That's a snake. There is something bad that can happen. Don't play the fence, man. Right? It says, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide, which have built thereupon, he shall receive a reward, right? So you got the truth, and it's solid, it's sound, right? When the judgment day comes, man, you're going to be fine. The Lord is going to protect you, preserve you, and deliver you, right? If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, right? So don't think you're not going to be affected by it, by teaching false doctrines, or open-eyes doctrines where you think, well, there's no ramifications for it, because there definitely is, right? He shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so by it as fire. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. Right? So it's not a joke. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. Right? And that's what it is, man. You man don't really want to stick to sound doctrine. And you're wise in your own conceit, in your own eyes. You think you know everything. You think you got everything, all down pat. Okay, but really you're being deceived by Satan, man, and you're being used to deceive others. All right, and that's just what it is. All right, so like I said, man, these guys, don't listen to them. All right, we know the elect are not going to listen to them anyway, but this is just part of our job, man, to rebuke. All right, but these guys wax worse and worse, man. So like I said, it's no surprise to us, but that's just how things are supposed to be in these last days. All right, so with that, I hope this was edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until then, I say shalom.